And here's Flip.
First, we want to say good evening, y'all. And tonight, we got a great show for you. Tonight, we shall delve into the world of comedy. And we have with us three of the funniest delvers in the whole business. We have Mr. Buddy Hackett. We have the very funny, very talented Miss Ruth Buzzi. And the comic extraordinaire, Mr. Richard Pryor. Personally, if that ain't delving, a pig ain't pork. Plus, a little bit later on, we're going to introduce 6 charming dancers who call themselves the Flippettes. But before we get into the heavy stuff, I'd like to get this little cookie off that I've been saving. And the point of this story is to show that there is a lot of good in the worst of us. Or we can call it The Ugly Baby Part 2. See, the story's about this terrible outlaw in the West. His name was Leroy the Terrible. And Leroy had a terrible disposition. Nobody liked him. Leroy's mother was an outlaw. His father was an outlaw. We won't discuss his sister. Yeah, well, the night that Leroy the Terrible rode into town, he was smashed. You know, he'd been drinking double shots of red eye and a snake venom chaser. What? Tied his horse in front of the Gold Star Cafe, then he entered. The owner, Moby Dick, and his pregnant wife were behind the counter. Moby was very ugly, bad. Moby looked like 10 miles of bad road. His wife looked worse than he did. But they loved each other, and that was the main thing. Well, they called him Moby Dick because even though he was ugly, he was a whale of a cook. Leroy the Terrible comes in, he stretches out in the booth, pulls his gun, then he shoots the owner's 2 dogs. Then he says, I desire to place my order. Made a lot of sense, doesn't it? He tells Moby, look, said, I don't want to have to give you my order more than once, and I don't want you to tell me that you don't have it, and when you serve it, the food better be hot. You understand that? I want hot food, hot. Like steam coming up off that food. Said, now, let's proceed with the order. Said, I desire to have a shrimp cocktail. I want chicken soup with matzo balls. I want salad with anchovies and oil and vinegar dressing. Said, we can follow that up with some garlic bread, and I like a 27-ounce steak. Said, I like a heavy steak. Don't give me one of them steaks you've been serving people. Said, I heard about them. People said those steaks you've been serving have been so light that if somebody opened the door while they're eating, the wind blow it off the table. Said, I don't want one of those steaks. Said, and then I like some lioness potatoes and some baby limas. Said, and for dessert, I want peach cobbler a la mode, heavy on the olla, and an extra scoop of la mode. Said, and I'll have some coffee with saccharin. Said, and while I'm eating, you can fix me some sandwiches to go. Moby splits, goes back in the kitchen. In about 15 minutes, banging around the pot pan, crash, bang, bang. 10 minutes later, Moby comes out through the kitchen doors. He has this heavy tray full of food, you know, and he goes over and he arranges the food in the half moon around Leroy the Terrible. And he lit a candle there. Then he went and he got a bouquet of flowers and he set that there on the table. Then he did something he'd never done for a customer before. He hung 4 no-pest strips around the place. You know, so the flies would stay away while Leroy the Terrible was eating, you know? So Leroy shot it to the food. Stop, stop, stop. Food was gone. Then he called Moby over. He said, hey, Moby, come here, I want to talk to you. He said, you know what? He said, I like you. That doesn't mean I'm going to take any lip from you. You know what I mean? And I assume you're a man a lot like myself. There's an opportunity to avoid violence. I'm sure you'd prefer to take it. Then I don't like the guy who owns the place across the street. He's a crook. Tried to rob me. Let me tell you what happened. Said I was in there last night, and I ordered the same dinner that I had here tonight. When I asked him how much I owed him, what do you think he tried to charge me? At $1.25. Isn't that outrageous? $1.20 for what I had. So that's why his place is closed today. Said I beat him so bad they had to operate on his shadow. Said the sheriff found me not guilty and asked me not to do it again. Said now, what would you consider a reasonable price to pay for the dinner that I just had? Movie says, how about free? I said, well, that's certainly reasonable. Said, it certainly is. But tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you $25. I want you to know it's not for the food, because the food didn't taste any better than his food. I'm giving you this money so when you and your wife have the baby, you can get his face lifted.